to be properly discussed. So the partnerships are needed, and has been, as has been mentioned, we need action-oriented partnerships to secure innovative financing mechanisms to close the gaps uh, on the short term, the middle, and the longer term. And as I mentioned, for the retention and succession. But what is really important, we need to think of how to mitigate against the brain drain that is taking place. And in a way, states should at a certain point assume the primary responsibility for the retention onward by committing to increasing the domestic spending on health. And this requires a paradigm shift in how the political leaders prioritize and commit to health as an investment rather than an expenditure case. Finally, I'm just going to mention the foundational work of the task team, the developed task team, and it should include a number of actions that are taken successively or together in parallel fashion. So there should be evidence-based target setting, articulating the investment case at each stage, identifying the partners, facilitating the consultations with the partners to set the scene, clarify the roles and responsibilities, and to agree on the sustainable action, sustainable financing, develop a framework for monitoring and evaluation, and this has been repeatedly mentioned by colleagues, and what is important is accountability as well, and facilitating the member states compacting exercise to ensure standardized, homogenized approach in the African Union. So we want to build trust, we want to build commitment, we want to build sustainable actions, and overall confidence in actions that are undertaken on the shorter and for the longer run to maintain, enhance, sustain the political and investor support and commitment. Finally, the last point I would like to add is that we need to create the platforms, innovative platforms and modalities that facilitates the work, like, for example, the cross-country learning, identifying and leveraging the different country strengths, working on those strengths, identifying gaps and weaknesses, and working on them in a way that would support the continent as a whole and endorse the collaboration between the countries. Definitely, this would require policies that would require more advanced regulatory functions for the different manner of this cooperation and collaboration, which should be, and mechanisms as well, and that should be strategically put in place. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. And that brings us to the end of session 2 of this side event. Just a very quick highlight. We've heard the role of partners as far as health workforce development on the continent of Africa is concerned. We have also heard how do we make use of existing platform, existing mechanisms to drive our health workforce agenda. We've heard how PEPFAR can actually support that. We have also heard the role of financial intermediary fund, the newly established World Bank Fund, and how that can be leveraged to further drive our workforce agenda on the continent. And last but not the least, we've heard from the AU COVID-19 Commission under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa, especially the new compact for health workforce development in Africa and the need for an accountability framework. Thank you. And at this junction, I would like to hand over to the CEO of Sept Global Health, who is going to take us through the third and the last session of this high-level side event. Vanessa, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taj. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm hoping to have it. Nice to see you, Professor. I'm hoping to be able to draw out the deep experience and examples that we know can illustrate the power of the health workforce with our very esteemed panel, and then with some participation of some of the honorable ministers in the audience and our partners who are also here. So thank you to the acting director, to the deputy chairperson, representative for President Ramaphosa, and for all of you for joining. It is a pleasure to be here today. I have the privilege of having a panel that includes Her Excellency Commissioner Samate Sisuma, who's the AU Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian and Social Affairs, Minister Leah Tedeschi, the Minister of Health of Ethiopia, and Professor Magda Rabala, who is the Global Managing Director for Women in Global Health, and the former Minister of Health, I believe, herself. So I'd like to start actually with our esteemed panel, and if I may, and I'm going to start with calling on the Commissioner, please, to kindly guide us from the position of being the AU Commissioner for Health and Humanitarian and Social Affairs, and from all the multiple positions you have held. And actually, I can't see. Make sure. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. It suddenly was like, am I calling into the ether? I would be very grateful if you could weigh in on the power of health for and investing in the health workforce as a mechanism for economic growth, social advancement, and for being able to bridge sectors and seeing the progress that we see. Your Excellency.
Merci, Madame la modératrice, Dr. Vanessa Kerry. Monsieur le ministre de la Santé de la République d'Afrique du Sud, Madame Monique Msanzabaganoa, excusez-moi, Madame. La vice-présidente de la Commission de l'Union africaine, mesdames et messieurs les ministres présents dans la salle, Dr. Ahmed Ogwel, directeur par intérim de CDC Afrique, mesdames et messieurs les ambassadeurs, représentants permanents, distingués participants au protocole d'humain observé. C'est un honneur pour moi, mesdames et messieurs, de participer à cette réunion et surtout insister sur la nécessité de mobiliser. Et c'est avec honneur que je participe à ce panel afin de nous permettre ensemble de voir comment nous pouvons mobiliser et renforcer les ressources qui soient nécessaires à l'amélioration des conditions de travail du personnel de santé au niveau de notre continent. On ne cessera jamais d'insister sur la pandémie actuelle, la pandémie de la COVID-19 depuis 3 ans maintenant, qui a mis en évidence une grave pénurie en matière de ressources humaines dans le domaine de la santé sur notre continent. La COVID nous a permis de prendre conscience, de travailler pour avoir un personnel de santé bien formé, bien réparti, personnel de qualité et doté même de ressources suffisantes. Et la création de l'équipe spéciale de l'Union africaine sur le personnel de santé constituera, j'en suis certaine, un effort particulier pour notre continent en matière de soins de santé et surtout la mobilisation de milliards de dollars et nous permettant justement d'aligner nos efforts sur les priorités de notre continent en matière de santé avec des systèmes de santé de qualité et surtout nous assurer aussi une sécurité